Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. On earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation. Deliver us from evil. Man, fuel prices jumping up. Yeah, what is it? It's like $3.20 for regular. Guess that comes with giving away trillions and trillions of dollars to your people. Gotta get some of it back. Oh, I ain't complaining. No receipt. Recording? Yes, sir. That's how you merge out in traffic, baby. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, I love this dang on bike. I'm an R1 guy. You get the V4 sound and feel with an inline 4. Come on, man. How you gonna beat it? Although that dang on Ducati, that V4 SP, nah, that's a nice bike. I wouldn't mind owning that. 38,000 though. Before you signed any of the goddamn paperwork. Goddamn. No interest, no insurance, no taxes. 38,000 from the jump of the situation, from the top of the situation. Boy, they ain't playing around. I ain't mad at it. Feel me? Hope everybody doing good today. Beautiful day to be riding a bike. Before we get off into the video, I want to take the time to remind you guys to go ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe. That's going to help us get off into the algorithm, man, and help us start growing the channel a little bit. Getting pretty good feedback from that first video we dropped. So also, at the end of this video, I want you guys to go over to my Instagram page and go ahead and hit follow. And that way you can kind of keep in tune with what I'm doing when I'm not recording. As you can see from today's title, it's kind of a harder video today. It's something I've been wanting to get off my chest. It's got to do with me losing my best friend and my brother in a tragic accident. So, quick backstory on that. My bro Ron, we met each other. I was in 6th grade and he was in 7th grade. He was a grade ahead of me. But the way we met was halfway through my 6th grade year, I got bumped up. They pushed me up to the 7th grade because I was excelling in all my classes, and this kind of wasn't being challenged at all. And that's how I met him. He was my locker partner, and the way the school was set up, grades 1st through 6th were upstairs in the building, but the grades 7th and 8th had downstairs to themselves. Okay, so I didn't know, you basically didn't know anybody from downstairs. You know what I mean? Unless you had siblings, or unless some of the boys liked some of the younger girls and they would come upstairs and holler at some of the younger girls. So we didn't really know nobody. So when they bumped me up and I had to move my locker from upstairs to down, it was a totally new situation, almost like switching schools to a certain extent. And he was my locker partner. A lot of people instantly, once they found out that a 6th grader got bumped up halfway through the year, they want to hate on me a little bit and naturally try to, you know, assert themselves against my will and try to make me feel like, you know, welcome to the big leagues, young buck. But Ron, that's my brother's name, my best friend. At the time, he was just my locker partner. But Ron, he was never like that. You know, he always showed love, basically showed me the ropes of being downstairs in that building, being in the seventh grade with the big dogs per se. Oh, that's bumpy right there. We ended up growing a relationship like that to the point where weekends we would hang out. So everybody, for the most part, walked to school back then. Everybody that we knew. And, you know, his house was kind of close to the school. So we would walk home together. And, you know, he would break off soon. And I still had a longer walk to get to my home. So once, you know, eventually he got introduced to my parents. I got introduced to his parents. And we always did the sleepover thing. But his house was lit. You know, he had the spot we always wanted to be at. So my mom would take me and my other brother to his house, and you know, on certain weekends we spend the night and have a ball. They would cook on the grill and show us a good time every time. Always have some sort of activities for us to do. But yeah, so kind of grew into a brotherhood like that. Me and my older brother and Ron and his siblings all became like a family type dynamic. And so we left there 7th and 8th grade. We graduated from that school. It was time to go to high school. But right around that time, his parents, they sold their house, whatever, and they moved out of the city. They moved to a suburb, you know, so he was pretty much signed up and set to go to school out there. And we were still in the city, but back then you couldn't just join any school. You had to live within the district. You know, it's probably still like that. You had to live within that particular district because my mom was going to try to put me and my brother in the same school that Ron was going to, because she didn't want us to go into just any high school in the city. So found out we weren't going to be able to do that. We ended up moving with my dad in Indiana to try to build a relationship, one with him, but also to be in a better school district as well. After my 10th grade year, I ended up moving back to Michigan. And by that time, the school that Ron was going to, they became what's called a school of choice, which they allow for you to enroll there even if you don't necessarily live within that district. So that was a blessing, because right around my 11th grade year and 12th grade year, we was able to basically reunite with Ron, and we finished out high school together. Just to recap, basically our whole interaction from our childhood, we did everything together, from sports to Model United Nations every year, to different college visit trips where they would allow us to go on campus for a weekend or 3 or 4 days at a time. And everything, we did it together, bro. Me and Ron was my guy. So fast forward, you know, a few years later, now we're adults trying to figure out how we're going to be successful in the workforce. And he kept telling me, man, I'm gonna get my CDL, a commercial driver's license, to drive a truck. And he did it. And me, I never thought truck driving was glorified enough. It wasn't glorious enough. It wasn't pretty enough. In my mind, truck drivers ain't making no money, so I didn't want to do that. And but after I saw basically how, after he went and got his, he had his for about 6-7 months, and I was still trying to figure out what career field I was even going to be in. He kept saying, bro, you might want to go ahead and get that CDL. So eventually I broke down and went on and got it, off the strength of him being a great worker at the company he was at. They hired me. I learned how to drive a truck without going to truck driving school, passed my test, got my CDL. And then after that, me and Ron started pulling each other up. He started at a company called Hydrochem. And that was some of the best money we had ever made. I think at the time, they was paying him like 18 bucks an hour and some change as an operator. Then he brought me in there, basically with a new CDL. They hired me, and you know, that was the best money I made. They started me at like $17.50. Then I got accustomed to that field, which is hydro excavation and whatnot. I left there and found another company called Badger and Steel Construction and Hydro Excavation, and that was the best money I ever made. That was $32 an hour. At that point, that was the best money I ever made, at $32 an hour, and included benefits in the union. That job right there was able to change our situation. So then I pulled him up into the Badger, you know, so now we're just piggybacking off each other, helping each other out, pulling each other up the ladder. So Now we're both at Badger, saving money. We moved to a nice city called Monroe. Both had beautiful places in Monroe, and but we knew we always wanted to haul cars, and we always talked about starting a car hauling company. So that's what we ended up doing. Ron was always so calculated. He was always so, you know, smart about what's going on up here. And Ron was so calculated. He was always so smart about what decisions to make and when to make them. So he wasn't necessarily too excited about pulling the trigger on us going to get a business loan and starting to buying a truck, buying trailers, and getting it in. So me being the more impulsive one of the two, I left my job at Badger where I'm making the best money I ever had, all because I met a guy one day who was hauling cars, and he gave me the number to a guy who could give us the opportunity and get in the door working for him. So I left Badger. I ended up working underneath the guy, and I got my feet wet, learned how to haul cars, and you know, I realized that, man, this is something that we're gonna fall in love with. So I talked to Ron. I said, Ron, you might want to go ahead and get ready to start thinking about quitting Badger, because bro, we're gonna haul cars. Eventually he would get into the truck with me on his off days at Badger. He would hop in the truck with me and start seeing what car hauling was all about and the way we was doing it and the type of potential of making big money. And that's where we was able to get the ball rolling. So we went together to go get a loan. One of the guys that was basically like a colleague or competition, but you know, healthy competition, he was selling his truck and trailer, and he was motivated to sell. I mean, beautiful truck and beautiful trailer too. And he gave it to us for a number that was just, I mean, the whole setup, he gave it to us for, you know, less than what the truck itself was worth by itself. So once that came to fruition, I sat Ron down and I said, this is it. This is how we get into the game. And so we went and we got a loan and got approved for the loan. I remember it like yesterday. It was December 19th, 2018 was the day they told us that the loan was approved. And from there we started our company, man. But that was hard work. It started out very hard the first 2 months, actually. So we got the loan approved in December of 2018, and then January 2019, the auto plants actually closed down, and it was the winter. So we went the whole first month of January not working. And this is after Ron had already committed to quitting Badger. It was no work. It was no cars to haul for that first month. And that put us to the test, man. So after that, when February came around, I remember us, you know, having a loaded trailer on the way to go drop off cars, trying to figure out how we was gonna fill up the fuel tank in the truck. You know, this is the second month in business. It was literally bare bones, touching down on the runway as the plane runs out of fuel type situations, you know, until those first couple checks started rolling in and we started seeing some good money. And then that's when the business started rolling. We knew, okay, we can do this if we rely on each other and we put in hard work. So every week, man, we did every week at least 6 days, a lot of weeks 7 days running, sun up to sundown, running, hauling cars back and forth. Man, we got used to that, got a couple trucks on the road, and we had a good thing going for ourselves. Fast forward to September 21st, 2019. On this particular day, man, we were hauling a few loads. We were picking up loads in the same yard, but we were dropping them off at different locations, just the way that we happened to get dispatched that day. And so I saw my bro Ron pull out the lot where we were loading up at pretty much while I was pulling in. Some of the cars that I was dispatched to go pick up were missing from the lot, and I couldn't find them. And so I went to call Ron to figure out if he had any information on where these specific bins were going to be located at within that lot, and he's not answering the phone. So I'm going back and forth between my dispatcher, the lot personnel people that work there, and calling Ron. You know, back to my dispatcher, back to the lot people, and then calling Ron. You know, Ron is not answering at all, and nobody's able to help me find these cars. So eventually the lot personnel ended up finding my vehicles for me, and I loaded the trailer up and everything, and got about my way. But I had a bad feeling, like, why is Ron over all these hours, why is he not answering my phone call or calling me back? So then a text message goes out from the dispatcher, and it says, is everybody okay? Car hauler just hit a semi truck. And my heart dropped, because I know, man, Ron hasn't been picking up my phone call at all, and normally that's not even remotely normal. I called the dispatcher instantly. I called him, and my, you know, he could tell I was a little bit panicked. I said, man, I think that could be Ron, because I've been trying to call him these past few hours and he hasn't got back to me yet. And he said, no, I don't think it's Ron, because they sent me a picture of the accident. I told him, well, send me the picture. And he sent me the picture. He said, no, that ain't Ron. That's somebody driving a blue truck. And I said, well, you know, I just wanted to be relieved so bad that I took his word for it. And I said, okay, I see what you're saying. From the picture, I can see how it looks like a blue truck. Now, our truck was black. In my mind, I'm allowing myself to take comfort with the dispatcher telling me, no, that's not Ron. So then I'm looking at the picture more and more while I'm driving the truck. I'm trying to drive the truck and shift through the gears and not hit traffic and look at the picture and call Ron and all this at the same time, with my heart racing. It was a hectic moment. So I called my older brother and I said, bro, I think Ron is in an accident on 75 is the highway he was on. I said, and I told him where they said the accident was at. I said, can you please go get in your car and roll down there and go see? And he said, yeah, I'll do that. So I said, well, actually, I'm close to you. I'll bring this truck on the block, residential streets. I pulled the whole semi truck onto a residential street, parked it up, loaded with cars, and I got in the car with my brother. You know, we flew down there as fast as we could. The traffic is backed up for 3/4 to a mile, you know, and so we couldn't do anything. So my brother pulled on the shoulder. I said, we got to get out and run. My brother pulls over on the shoulder. We get out. We're running through cars on the freeway, trying to get up to the scene of the crash. And as soon as I jumped over the wall to be able to see, all I could see was I guess the wheels, the bottom half of our truck, and I knew instantly that it was Ron. So right here, I'm actually approaching where it happened at right now. So Ron is traveling the exact same way I'm traveling right now, headed towards southbound I-75. Okay, this is Ron. He probably was in this lane right here. That's crazy. If you guys could see that truck with 3 trucks on it right there, a few cars ahead, that's exactly what this picture would have looked like for Ron. He was doing the same thing, same setup, dually with a 3-car trailer, and same type of setup. And so he's coming. This would have been probably his exact path. Now it's hard to say whether Ron was in the fast lane or not, but this is what happened right here on that day. I'm gonna try to pull over right here. Hopefully, if you guys see this hill, thought I had neutral right there. So if you guys see this hill, this is where it happened at. So, and you were for a long time able to still see the tire marks. So the semi truck driver, at some point right here, I'm gonna try to see if I can get if the tire tracks are still engraved in the ground from that semi. So that semi driver came up from over this hill. So what that would mean is, as he was traveling, I'm gonna go to the top. As that semi driver was traveling northbound, this is it here, right here. This is the scuff, I believe. Yep, right here. Right here. This line and this line is where the semi came from. Right there where that semi truck is at. And he fell asleep and came up this whole entire hill and came down this side right here. And that's where my bro was at. You see how steep this hill is. Hopefully the camera's capturing this. And it's not the easiest thing right now. Oh shit. Came down this hill. When he landed, Ron he couldn't do nothing about it. Smashed into the guy's trailer and pretty much got crushed by the truck. The cars that he were carrying, oh boy. Yeah, that's not the easiest thing. So Ron was carrying 3 brand new Ram 1500s he had just picked up. The first truck totally got detached from the trailer, flew through the semi-truck's trailer in one side, out the other, landed upside down on the opposite side of the semi. The second and third that Ron had on his trailer, they both moved up 1 car spot. So they both slid up. They ripped up the grating on the trailer, slid up about 1 car length each. Man, it was literally a freak accident. So this is something that a movie director would have come up with, but it actually happened. And so when I got down to the scene of the crash and I realized it was him, literally broke down. When I'm talking to the police and I'm letting them know, like, man, this is my brother, we got this business together, providing them with all of his vital information so they can properly ID and confirm that it is him. And that was hard, man. So literally the craziest thing I ever had to deal with in my life. So naturally it had its effects on me since then. And his birthday is coming up this month. Around times like this, it gets a little bit harder for me. Because he's heavy on my mind a lot. Which I've never been a really really never too high, never too low. Never been one of them type of people. But after going through the death of my best friend and having to shut our company down, you know, struggling again, and you know, just dealing with some of the craziest stuff you can think of, it's taking its toll at times. I've had some really low lows, and I want to talk to you guys about ways to cope with hardships like that, because it's some proper ways to cope, and then it's some really negative, really wrong ways to cope. And this might be a surprise to a lot of people that's going to see this, because you know, I might have family or whatever that click on this video. Man, harmful, just potentially harmful and tragic coping methods that I went through and sometimes still go through to try to get past this time. You know, you think about alcoholism, you think about the use of different substances to try to get over the pain and to try to get over the reality that, you know, it happened and you got to move on. I'm the type of person that I know right from wrong, no matter what the situation is. I know when I'm right, and I know when I'm doing something I don't have no business doing. So even though I'm in a predicament where these substances might be making my body feel better, or they might be taking my mind to a different place to where it's easier for me not to think about the reality of the situation, in the back of my mind, I'm still knowing that I don't have any business doing what I'm doing. So it might feel like it's helping, but once the high goes away, you know, it's worse for me, a person like myself, because I still have that voice in the back of my mind saying, you know better than this, why are you doing this? And it's actually even more hurtful, because you got the reality of the actual situation on top of the fact that you're letting yourself down constantly. So I was dealing with that, and it's better ways to cope, man. Honestly, like I mentioned to you guys in the previous video, I've always been spiritual. So I had to get back to my, you know, my foundation, my core of being able to just calm down and meditate and get up and go. I'm to a place now where most of the time it's not bothering me. I can talk about it pretty good, you know, without getting choked up, getting emotional and shit like that. So definitely a lot better than where I was at, you know. And I just wanted to share that with you guys, you know, because somebody else might be going through a hard time, tough loss too. So guys, we're here to help each other out through tough situations, and that's what we're here for. So once again, man, I want to thank y'all for your time clicking on this video. Definitely, I want you to go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you're notified when I make new posts. And yeah, man.
Vice is when the devil from his dog. Keep that the God swinging like a ball. She hit so hard, don't know what to call it. I got it solid. Only on my line when the money calling. Prophetic nigga got a profit. Calling on you now, can you hear me calling? Lord, can you hear me calling? Vices when the devil find his darlings. Keep that stick out, swing it like I'm all in.
I'm on the road to work, cause I can't get a hold of no work.